Imagine this. A man walks through a crowded market. Someone bumps into him, spills his drink, and without apology, keeps walking. Most people would flare up with anger, lash out, or carry that irritation all day. But this man, he simply smiles, takes a deep breath, and keeps moving forward, completely unshaken. Why? Because he has discovered a secret so powerful, it changes everything. No one can make you angry or bother you unless you give them that power. This isn't about ignoring the world or pretending everything is perfect. It's about reclaiming control over your own mind and emotions. Building a fortress of peace so strong that no insult, slight, or bad day can penetrate it. Today, you're about to learn how to unlock that freedom. The freedom to stay calm, centered, and unbothered no matter what life throws at you. Because the moment you stop giving your power away, everything changes. Years ago, there was a man named Viktor Frankl, a renowned psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor. While imprisoned in one of the most brutal concentration camps in history, Viktor witnessed unimaginable cruelty, suffering, and injustice. Every day, prisoners faced dehumanizing conditions designed to break their spirit and crush their hope. But Viktor made a powerful choice. He refused to give his captors the power to control his inner world. He understood that while they could imprison his body, they could never imprison his mind or dictate his emotional state unless he allowed them to. Amidst the horror, Viktor found a deep well of inner peace by consciously choosing not to be angry or bitter at the tormentors. He focused on what he could control: his response, his attitude, and his ability to find meaning even in suffering. This choice didn't make his circumstances easier, but it made him unbreakable. After surviving the camps, Viktor went on to teach the world that true freedom is not freedom from hardship, but freedom from being controlled by how others treat you. His story is a living testament that no one can make you angry or bother you unless you give them permission, and that your greatest power lies in mastering your own mind and emotions. Most people go through life like emotional puppets. Every string pulled by traffic, toxic people, passive-aggressive comments, or a memory that still stinks. One look, one tone, one rejection, and boom, they snap. But here's the truth nobody told us growing up. You are not obligated to attend every argument you're invited to. You are not required to absorb every insult thrown your way. And you are not weak for walking away. You're wise. The strongest person in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who stays in control when everything around them is trying to break it. So, if you're tired of being triggered, tired of wasting your energy, tired of giving other people power over your peace, this message is for you. Because today, I'll show you how to stop reacting and start mastering. How to rise above the noise, ignore the bait, and walk through chaos untouched. This isn't about becoming passive. It's about becoming powerful. Every time you lose your temper, every time someone gets under your skin, they win. Not because they're stronger, smarter, or better, but because you gave them something they didn't earn. Control over your state of mind. See, anger isn't a reaction. It's a choice. And the most dangerous thing about it, it feels justified. But what if you could take that power back? What if you could walk through the world unshaken, untouchable, unbothered, because your peace no longer depends on how others act, speak, or treat you? In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to build a mind so calm, so centered, so bulletproof that no one can steal your peace again. Not your boss, not your ex, not even your own thoughts. Control is internal, not external. And the day you truly understand that is the day your life begins to change. Most people go through life believing that their peace is held hostage by circumstances, people, or unpredictable events. But the truth is simple. No one can press your buttons if you disconnect the panel. That panel is your emotional wiring, your triggers, your insecurities, your need for validation. And as long as you let the world have access to it, you will always be reactive, always vulnerable to chaos, always at the mercy of someone else's behavior. But the moment you realize that control doesn't come from forcing others to act right, but from teaching yourself not to lose your composure when they don't, that's when you reclaim your power. You can't control what people say. You can't control how they treat you, how they think about you, or whether they recognize your worth. But what you can control is whether you give them the privilege of affecting your state of mind. Every time you let someone's words ruin your day, you hand them a piece of your power. Every time you explode over someone's attitude, you make them the author of your emotional script. And what most people never realize is that this reaction isn't caused by the event. It's caused by the meaning you assign to it. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Do you explode or do you breathe and keep going? Your boss criticizes you harshly. Do you spiral into self-doubt, or do you take what's useful and let the rest fall off? The difference is not in the event. It's in the mastery of your own emotional control panel. This is what emotional freedom looks like. Not numbness, not avoidance, but conscious response. You don't become unbothered by pretending things don't affect you. You become unbothered by deciding what's worth your energy in the first place. That's the shift. That's the real flex. It's when you stop trying to change the world to suit your peace and instead build a peace that doesn't break. No matter what the world does, you're not a puppet anymore. You're not at the mercy of bad days, rude people, or loud opinions. You're grounded. Remember, your peace is your responsibility, and your emotional control panel, that's yours to protect, yours to master, and yours to power down when the wrong hands try to reach for it. Anger is a reaction, not a requirement. And once you understand that truth, you begin to experience freedom on a level most people never reach. See, the world will always throw stones, words, judgments, disrespect, misunderstandings, betrayal. But you don't have to go to war every time someone hurls one your way. That's the trap. That's the setup. Because the moment you feel obligated to respond, to defend, to prove yourself, you've already lost control, not just of the situation, but of yourself. Anger is loud, it's explosive, it feels powerful in the moment. But most of the time, it's just you handing over the keys to your peace because someone hit a nerve. But what if you didn't react? What if you could see it, feel it, notice it, and still remain calm? That's where your power lives. Because just because something happened doesn't mean it has to own you. You are not your triggers. You are not your impulses. You are not a slave to the moment. You are a conscious being. And you have the authority to decide in real time whether this situation deserves your energy or your indifference. You can observe without absorbing. You can acknowledge without attaching. That's the secret most people miss. They think being unbothered means you didn't feel it. But real strength is feeling everything and still choosing your higher self. The most powerful people don't yell. They pause, they process, they protect their energy like it's sacred because it is. Think about how many times you've gotten angry, lashed out, or held on to resentment, only to later realize it wasn't worth it, that it only drained you, while the person who triggered it went on with their day. That's because anger might feel righteous in the moment, but it usually burns the one who carries it. And if you live your life always needing to respond, always needing to get the last word, always needing to set people straight, you're not protecting your dignity. You're leaking your power. The truth is, peace is louder than anger. Restraint is strength. And walking away unbothered and unshaken isn't weakness, it's wisdom. So the next time life throws a stone, ask yourself, is this a battle worth my energy? Is this a hill worth dying on? Or is this just another opportunity to prove to myself that my emotions are mine and mine alone to command? Because once you learn that anger is optional, you stop being controlled by the noise around you and start mastering the stillness within you. You teach people how to treat you, not with your words, not with your intentions, but with what you react to. Every time you overreact, you're not just expressing frustration, you're rewarding bad behavior with your attention, your energy, and your emotional availability. That's the paradox most people never realize. The more you explode, the more power you give away. The more you argue, the more validation you offer to the very behavior you want to stop. Because attention, whether positive or negative, is still fuel. And when you lose control, when you yell, snap, or shut down, you're telling the other person, you've got access to my emotions. You can pull my strings. You can shake my peace. But the truth is, you decide who has access to your emotional real estate. People will test boundaries. People will poke, prod, and provoke. Not always maliciously, sometimes just out of habit or ignorance. But it's your reaction that teaches them whether or not they can keep doing it. Stay silent when someone disrespects you, and you've taught them that disrespect is acceptable. Overreact when someone provokes you, and you've taught them exactly how to get under your skin. Either way, your response or lack of one becomes the blueprint for how they'll treat you next time. That's why emotional discipline is so powerful. When you learn to respond with calm clarity, or better yet, choose not to respond at all, you create a new standard. You send a silent, unshakable message. My peace is not up for negotiation. Some things don't deserve your voice. Some people don't deserve your explanation. And some battles are beneath the level you've grown to. The most powerful person in the room isn't the one who talks the loudest. It's the one who controls the atmosphere with their presence, not their panic. So ask yourself, am I teaching people that I'm easily provoked? Am I showing them that chaos gets my attention? Or am I training the world day by day that my energy is a privilege, not a reaction? Because the way you allow others to treat you is ultimately a reflection of how you treat yourself. When you hold yourself to a higher standard of grace, restraint, and self-respect, others will either rise to meet it or they'll remove themselves. Either way, you win. So, stop feeding what you want to disappear. Starve the drama, starve the disrespect, starve the bait, and instead lead with presence, not performance. That's how you take the wheel back and teach the world how to meet you at your level. Silence is a weapon. Use it wisely. In a world addicted to noise, where everyone feels the need to respond, defend, explain, and clap back, silence has become one of the most underrated forms of power, because not everything deserves your energy. Some things, in fact, deserve your complete indifference. When someone tries to provoke you, to bait you into conflict, or to shake your sense of self, the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. No reaction, no explanation, just presence, just calm, just silence. Why? Because silence makes people uncomfortable, especially those who thrive on control. The moment they realize they can trigger you, they lose power over you. The drama dies, the fire fizzles, and more importantly, you stay in command of your energy. Maturity is learning that not every insult needs an answer. Not every jab deserves a swing back. Sometimes the highest form of strength is restraint, and sometimes silence is louder than shouting. Think about it. When you respond emotionally, you give the other person evidence that they got to you. But when you remain still, when you remain composed, you create uncertainty. They don't know where they stand with you, and in that quiet, you gain control. Silence forces reflection. It exposes insecurity. It ends arguments that were never worth starting. And most importantly, it protects your peace. Because your energy is a resource, and not everyone should have access to it. Some people speak just to provoke a response. Some situations are designed to knock you off balance. But you don't have to take the bait. You don't have to be loud to be hurt. You don't have to fight to prove your power. Sometimes walking away is the loudest statement you'll ever make. Sometimes looking someone in the eye and saying nothing is more devastating than anything you could say. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's discipline. That's emotional intelligence. When you reach a point where your silence speaks louder than your words, where your non-reaction is your response, you've stepped into a new level of power. Not because you don't care, but because you care too much about protecting your peace, your mental clarity, and your emotional stability to let someone else dictate them. So the next time someone tries to pull you into their chaos, ask yourself, does this deserve my voice or my silence? Because silence, when chosen with purpose, is not avoidance. It's strategy, it's self-respect, it's control. And the one who stays silent while others scream, that's the one who holds the real power. Emotional discipline is the new strength. Not loudness, not aggression, not snapping back at every provocation. In a world where outrage is currency and overreaction is the norm, the real flex is staying calm when chaos tries to pull you in, because anyone can scream, anyone can slam doors, fire off angry messages, or let their emotions explode like a bomb. That takes no training, that takes no wisdom, that's instinct, that's ego. But to stay composed when someone disrespects you, to keep your tone steady when someone raises theirs, to hold your ground when everything in you wants to strike back, that's real strength. That's power most people never cultivate. It's easy to act tough when you feel attacked. But true toughness isn't about how loud you can get. It's about how still you can remain when your peace is on the line. Emotional discipline means you no longer let people, circumstances, or even your own negative thoughts hijack your behavior. It means you can sit in discomfort without losing your center. It means you don't need to be right, to retaliate, or to win every battle, because you've already won the war inside. And make no mistake, that war inside is the one that matters. Every time life pokes you, every time someone tries to test you, you have a choice. React and lose control, or breathe and rise above. The strongest person isn't the one who throws the last word. It's the one who doesn't need to throw anything at all. They're grounded, rooted, unmoved. They don't let the behavior of others dictate their internal world. And that level of composure isn't weakness. It's mastery. It's understanding that not every emotion deserves expression. And not every thought deserves a reaction. It's learning to pause, to process, and to protect your peace above all. Because emotional discipline isn't about suppression. It's about selection. Choosing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. knowing the difference between responding and reacting, between speaking and needing to be heard. So when the world tries to shake you, you don't rise to the chaos. You drop deeper into your calm. That's what makes you unshakable. Not because life is easy, not because people stop being difficult, but because you've developed the inner strength to remain solid no matter what. And in today's world, that kind of peace, that kind of control isn't just rare, it's revolutionary. Your peace is too expensive to be spent on every fool you meet. You've worked too hard, been through too much, and grown too far to keep giving your energy away to people who haven't earned the right to hold it. Every day, life will present you with invitations to chaos. Someone's bad mood, someone's petty comment, someone's need to pull you into their storm. But hear this clearly. You don't have to attend every drama someone invites you to. Just because the door is open doesn't mean you need to walk through it. You owe no one your peace. You owe no one your presence. The moment you realize your energy is currency, you'll stop wasting it on people who can't afford it. Let them have their storms. Let them argue with themselves. Let them drown in their own noise. You, on the other hand, protect your peace like a fortress, strong, impenetrable, untouchable. Because when you learn to value your calm more than your need to be right, more than your desire to retaliate, more than your urge to prove a point, you elevate. You rise, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster that most people live on. Understand this. Some people thrive on conflict. They feel powerful when they can drag you into their mess. When they can disturb your center, don't give them that satisfaction. Don't make your presence cheap. Reserve your energy for things that build you, not for battles that drain you. The truly powerful don't respond to every challenge. They don't need to. Their silence speaks. Their boundaries speak. Their refusal to engage in foolishness speaks louder than any argument ever could. And yes, people will try you. Life will test you. But the test isn't about them. It's about you. Can you stay rooted while everything around you tries to shake you? Protect your peace like a fortress, strong, impenetrable, untouchable, because when you learn to value your calm more than your need to be right, more than your desire to retaliate, more than your urge to prove a point, you elevate, you rise, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster that most people live on. Understand this. Some people thrive on conflict. They feel powerful when they can drag you into their mess, when they can disturb your center. Don't give them that satisfaction. Don't make your presence cheap. Reserve your energy for things that build you, not for battles that drain you. The truly powerful don't respond to every challenge. They don't need to. Their silence speaks. Their boundaries speak. Their refusal to engage in foolishness speaks louder than any argument ever could. And yes, people will try you. Life will test you. But the test isn't about them. It's about you. And you stay rooted while everything around you tries to shake you, acts out of line. And just like that, they hijack your peace, dictate your energy, and steer your emotional direction. That's not strength. That's not control. That's enslavement to external chaos. And as long as your emotions are tied to someone else's behavior, you're living like a puppet, strings pulled by anyone with the power to irritate you. But the moment you realize that no one owns you unless you let them, everything changes. You start guarding your emotional keys like they are sacred because they are. Your mind is your sanctuary. Your peace is your domain. Why give that power away so easily? Why let people who don't matter that much have such deep access to your inner world? Emotional independence is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming clear. It means choosing how you feel instead of being dragged into reactions. It means saying, I control how I move no matter what they do. Because the reality is people will push your buttons, but they can only trigger what you haven't healed. And healing means detaching. Learning to observe without absorbing, to feel without reacting, and to walk away without needing to explain. Reclaim your keys. Your mood is your property. Your peace is not a public utility. It's a personal treasure. And you don't owe access to anyone just because they're loud, dramatic, or demanding attention. The more you invest in emotional independence, the less you become a prisoner of other people's behavior. You stop saying they made me mad and start saying I chose calm. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop getting hooked and start staying grounded. That's not easy, but it's necessary because without emotional sovereignty, you'll be pulled in every direction every day by people who don't even care about your well-being. Take your keys back. Lock your peace behind a door only you can open. And remember, the one who owns your mood owns your day. So stop letting that be someone who doesn't deserve the honor. You are not here to be emotionally managed by anyone else. You're here to own your energy, master your state, and protect your mind like your future depends on it. Because it does. Let go of the ego. It's the real trigger behind every flare of anger, every sting of hurt, every moment you feel bothered by what someone says or does. The truth is, it's not the insult itself that wounds you. It's the part of you that believes the insult, the part that needs to defend itself, prove its worth, or explain why it's right. That's your ego talking. The ego is fragile, always on guard, always ready to protect its identity by lashing out, shutting down, or internalizing pain. It thrives on conflict because conflict gives it something to fight for, a reason to justify its existence. But the soul, your deeper self, doesn't need any of that. The soul doesn't require validation, explanation, or retaliation. It simply is whole and complete beyond the petty games of pride and defense. When you realize that the real trigger isn't what was said, but the ego's reaction to it, you begin the process of true freedom. You start to detach from the need to prove yourself, to argue back, or to get the last word. Instead, you cultivate a space inside where the ego's sharp edges soften and lose their grip. This doesn't mean you become numb or indifferent to injustice. It means you rise above the need to react from a place of wounded pride. The more you feed the ego with defenses and retaliations, the more you stay trapped in a cycle of emotional turmoil. But when you choose to see beyond the ego's cries for attention, you step into a realm of peace and clarity. Imagine how liberating it is to no longer be controlled by the part of you that fears rejection or demands respect. To feel worth stood and rare qualities in a world addicted to noise, reaction, and chaos. The truth is you can't shake someone who's already at peace. When you cultivate true stillness within, no external storm, no rude comment, no unfair criticism, no provocation can disturb your inner calm. Stillness is not a sign of weakness or passivity. It is the ultimate dominance over yourself, a demonstration of control that far surpasses any outburst or argument. In any room, the calmest person holds the most power, not because they overpower others with volume or aggression, but because their unshakable presence commands respect and diffuses conflict before it even starts. When you are still, you embody confidence rooted in self-awareness and emotional mastery. You don't need to prove anything or defend your territory loudly because your energy speaks louder than words. Stillness allows you to see clearly, respond thoughtfully, and act deliberately rather than react impulsively. It's a kind of sovereignty over your emotions, a fortress built inside that nothing can penetrate without your permission. Imagine how much energy you would save if you stopped giving in to every emotional tug, every bait, and every attempt to provoke. Stillness means choosing to breathe, pause, and observe instead of getting caught in the heat of the moment. It means knowing your worth without needing to shout it from the rooftops. And it means understanding that true power is quiet, subtle, and steady. Like a deep lake that looks calm on the surface, but holds immense strength beneath. Those who master stillness do not lose. They win because they refuse to be controlled by circumstances or other people's attempts to unsettle them. They create a space where their peace is protected fiercely, not with noise, but with presence. This kind of power is magnetic. It attracts respect and diffuses hostility. People instinctively recognize that this person is untouchable, not because they are unreachable, but because they are unbreakable. So when you feel the urge to react, to defend, to argue, remind yourself stillness is your greatest ally. It's not about ignoring what happens around you. It's about rising above it with grace and steadiness. When you cultivate stillness, you don't just survive the storms. You become the calm at their center, the unmovable force that others must reckon with. That is true power. That is emotional mastery. That is freedom. Forgiveness is not for them. It's for you. Holding on to anger and resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's a self-inflicted wound that drains your energy, steals your peace, and traps you in a prison of bitterness and pain. When you carry grudges, replay old hurts, and refuse to let go, you give that person control over your emotional world even long after the event has passed. Forgiveness doesn't mean that what they did was right, nor does it mean you have to forget or even reconcile. It means you are making a conscious decision to free yourself from the heavy burden of anger, to stop allowing someone else's mistakes or cruelty